So far, you've learned about creating intents and using training phrases to teach the agent how to recognize these intents. But let's say that you want to enable your agent to extract specific pieces of information provided by the user. For example, the toppings they want on the pizza they are ordering, or the number of slices. You can do that with entities. Entities help you get to the specifics of an interaction. In dialogue, the entities are the nouns or quantifiers found through the conversation, such as a person's name, the food in a review of a cruise, specific numbers, dates, just to name a few. In the case of ordering pizza, pizza would be a grouping of attributes that can be seen as entities. Pizza ordering have as attributes number of pizzas, toppings, type of crust, pickup or delivery time. When you are designing your entity groupings, you need to know how granular the entities should get. Sometimes simply pizza is sufficient, but sometimes you need to know finer details. Entities help your agent decide what details he needs to know and how he should act based on those details. Entities are also a great way to add personalization to an agent. You can use an entity and data stored in a database to remember details about a user, such as their name or favorite order. You can then echo those details back, turning a rigid conversation into a casual dialogue. Entities usually are the nouns in your dialogue. They're commonly composed of root terms and their synonyms. For the example in the yellow box, someone could say veggie or vegetarian, and these should map to the same entity representing the toppings of the pizza. Let's see how we can create entities in the Dialogflow console. So I'm back in the Dialogflow console. And to create a new entity in Dialogflow, click on the Entities page. Then click Create Entity. Choose a name for your entity. I'm going to call this pizza topping. You see two options. One is Define Synonyms, which is checked by default. The other one is Allow Automated Expansion. Right now, let's look at the Define Synonyms option. When you click to edit an entry, you can then choose the first term to describe your topping. So let's choose cheese. When you hit Tab, you see that cheese is already added as a synonym for the reference value. I won't add any more examples here because people usually only refer to a cheese topping by saying the word cheese. But let's say I decide to add the vegetarian option. For that, I will probably would want to add the veggie synonym, as people might refer to that topping as veggie as well. Click Save. We might want to have a couple more examples here. So let me switch to an agent that I already prepared that has a larger list of entities for our pizza topping. So you see here the pizza topping entity, and that's my list. Right? You see that I have bacon, and I added as synonyms bacon pieces, bacon bites, or bacon slices. I have jalapenos, where I added jalapenos or hot peppers. The same way, you're gonna think of all of the toppings that your pizza place carries and then add them here. Now let's take a look at the Allow Automated Expansion option. Allow Automated Expansion is when we want to allow the agent to accept all the reference values that may be said by the user but are not added to the list initially. Let's say a user wants tomatoes on their pizza. If the Allow Automated Expansion is checked, then when they order the pizza and they mention tomato, even though it is not here, tomato is going to be added to the list, and the agent will be able to identify that intent the same way. But if you want a fixed set of options and you do not want to allow new ones to be added to your list, then you should not check this option. So now we're ready to annotate our intent training phrases with the entities we just created. To do that, let's go back to our order pizza intent. And once we have the list of training phrases, we're gonna double click on the word that we want to annotate. So let's annotate the phrase, I want a pizza with mushroom, bacon, and cheese. So you double click on mushroom, and you see a list of entities that pops up. Scroll down and look for the one that we just created. The list seems too long, right? You can filter the option as well. You can say pizza topping. And then it's gonna show. Once you click it, you see that now the term mushroom is annotated with the pizza topping entity. We're gonna do the same with bacon. Now you see that is the first one in the list, right? So just choose it, do the same for cheese, and that's it. We just annotated all of the toppings in that example. Again, now I'm gonna save it and switch to another agent that already has all of the training phrases annotated with our pizza topping example. Click order pizza, and there you have it. So we see that all of our toppings are properly annotated. Now let me show you what happens if you decide to add one more training phrase to your intent. Let's come here and type, I would like to order a beef, sausage, and pepperoni pizza. Once I hit enter, you're gonna notice that all three entities that are present in the training phrase were properly annotated as a pizza topping, without me having to go there and modify it or annotate it. If you do, however, notice that the agent did not automatically annotate something, you can then go and fix the annotation yourself. Notice that the agent automatically annotates words that match entity reference values. You may be asking them, why don't we create entities before adding training phrases? And that's totally reasonable. And you get to that when you try the hands-on lab. When you're creating an entity and you identify that the entity contains attributes that you need to map to, one way is to use composite entities. For our ordering pizza example, let's say that we want to create an intent for ordering drinks. A drink can be of type milkshake or smoothie. Milkshake and smoothie, in this case, are entries in an entity called drink. Additionally, let's say we have different flavors and milk types that can be chosen for the drinks. In this scenario, we might want to use composite entities to allow the agent to identify these attributes when the user requests, can I have a non-fat strawberry milkshake? For this case, create separate entities for milk type, listing all of the milk types your business carries, and a separate entity for flavor. Then combine those under an entity, here we call it drink composite, that shows the different ways customers can ask for the drink and its attributes. For the pizza order use case, let's say that the user wants to determine the time they want to pick up their order. In that case, when they say the time, the agent should be able to identify and extract the time as a standard format, ISO for example. So you can communicate the time to the backend system responsible for the orders. Similarly, sometimes we need to identify common concepts, such as dates, addresses, phone numbers, given names. For that, instead of defining entities for things such as days of the week or months of the year, use one of the system entities that represent date and time. System entities are pre-built entities provided by Dialogflow in order to facilitate handling the most popular concepts, such as addresses, currency, units, date, time, and many others. Do you see any system entities that could be used in our pizza ordering intent? Let's check it out. In the training phrases we have so far, we can annotate the number of pizzas, 1, and the time the user wants the pizza to be prepared for pickup, like now in this example. So let's double click on 1. As we see here, the list of entities appear, and we want number to be the one for 1, the number of slices. Now, we want that to be time. So we choose sys.time. You notice that the system entities are preceded by the @sys, and that is to differentiate them from the developer entities. Don't forget to click Save. Up to this point, we've looked at composite entities and system entities individually. But what about system composite entities? For example, if the user says 200 euros, Dialogflow returns an object type value consisting of 2 attribute value pairs, amount and currency. Visit the reference section at the end of this module to find the documentation of all of the system entities currently supported. When creating entities, there is a few things to keep in mind to make sure you're training our agent well. First, it is important to be consistent when annotating the entities in the training phrases. This will help the agent to not get confused about what should be recognized as a given entity. Note that in some cases, they have included at and for. Being careful to not add stop words, such as prepositions, is extremely important. Make sure you provide diversification of examples of a given entity in your training phrases. These allow the agent to understand that the concept is part of an intent, as opposed to an instance of the concept alone. On this example, providing only Taurus will not be enough to teach the agent that the same should apply to other constellations as well.